This is compound statements with 3 variables, part 2. And there will be a part 3 to this. Okay? Because this is going to take a lot of thinking here. The next column we're going to fill out here is this one right here. Okay? I'm going to fill this one out right here. Now here's how this one's going to work. It says, if you buy milk, you're either going to buy eggs or bread. Well, in this case, you bought eggs and bread. So you bought at least one of the two. Therefore, this statement's true. Now, the next statement says, if you buy milk, you're going to buy at least eggs or milk, or bread. You're going to either buy eggs or you're going to buy bread. Okay? So if you buy milk, you're going to either buy eggs or you're going to buy bread. Well, in this particular case, you bought milk, you bought eggs, you didn't buy bread, but that's okay because you bought at least eggs or bread. So that statement, of course, is true. Now, what about the third one? Okay. If you buy milk, you're either going to buy eggs or bread. In this case, you bought bread, but you didn't buy eggs. So you bought at least one of the two items. So therefore, the statement is still true. Okay. Now then, what about the next statement? Well, it says, you went out to buy milk, but you didn't buy any eggs or bread. Well, that's a problem, because you said that if you bought milk, you would at least buy eggs or bread. Well, you didn't buy either one of those, so this statement, of course, is now false. Now, what about the next statement? Well, it says here that you didn't buy milk. All right. If you didn't buy milk, it doesn't matter whether you bought bread or eggs, because you didn't buy milk. The only time it matters whether you buy bread or eggs is if you buy milk. So, since you didn't buy milk, then whether you bought eggs and bread, or you bought just eggs, or you bought just bread, or you didn't buy any one of them, then this statement's still going to be true. Because you said that if you bought milk, you would buy at least eggs or bread. There you go. All right, now it's time to fill in this column. Now what this is saying here is, if you buy milk, you're not going to buy eggs. You're only going to buy milk if you don't buy, not eggs, I'm sorry, bread. C is bread. So what it's saying here is, I'm only going to buy milk if I don't buy bread. Okay? So if you buy bread, you can't buy milk. Okay? Because you said that the only time you're going to buy milk is if you don't buy bread. Alright. So, did you buy milk? Yes. Did you buy bread? Yes. So this statement's false, because you bought both. And you were only going to buy milk if you didn't buy bread. So this statement, of course, is false. Now what about the next statement? You bought milk, but you didn't buy any bread. And you said that if the only time you would buy milk is if you didn't buy bread. So that statement, of course, is true. Now what about the next one? This one says, I bought milk and I bought bread. But you said that the only time you would ever buy milk is if you didn't buy bread. Well, you bought both, so that's false. Okay. What about the next statement? You bought milk, but you didn't buy any bread. And you said that the only time you would ever buy milk is if you didn't buy bread. So this statement, of course, is true. All right. Now what about this statement? You didn't buy any milk, but you went ahead and bought bread. And you said that, and it kind of works in reverse here, because what you're saying here is that if you don't buy milk, you will buy bread. You see, if you do buy milk, you won't buy bread, but if you don't buy milk, you will buy bread. So this statement is, of course, true. Because that's what you did. You bought the bread, but you didn't buy the milk. Now, what about this statement? You didn't buy any milk, but you also didn't buy any bread, and you said that if you didn't buy milk, you would buy bread, and you didn't, so that's false. Okay. Now then, the next statement. You didn't buy any milk, but you went ahead and bought bread, and you said that if you didn't buy milk, you would buy bread. So, that's of course true. What about the last statement? You didn't buy any milk and you didn't buy any bread. You see something wrong with that? Of course there is, because you said if you didn't buy milk, you would buy bread. And that's not what you did. So that statement, of course, is false. And that concludes part 2 of my video. Now you say, well, there's still a couple of columns that haven't been filled in. You're absolutely right. I will tell you how to fill in those last columns in my next video. Stay tuned.